There is a reason. So many people make the wrong car decision, even when they think they are being careful. It usually starts with one simple number: the monthly payment. If one deal asks for less money every month, it feels smarter. If one option looks lighter, cleaner, easier to survive, it feels like the responsible choice. And that is exactly why leasing can look so convincing at first. Because leasing is not designed to feel expensive. It is designed to feel comfortable. Imagine two men walking into the same dealership. They earn the same salary. They want the same car, a $30,000 sedan. Nothing flashy, nothing extreme. Just a normal, practical vehicle. By the end of the day, they leave with the same car, but not the same future. Jake signs a 36-month lease. Marcus takes out a 60-month loan to buy. And almost immediately, Jake looks like the winner. His upfront payment is smaller. His monthly bill is lower. The car is brand new. It is fully covered by warranty. And for the next few years, he will probably avoid most of the repair problems that come with owning an aging vehicle. Marcus gets the same car, but his deal feels heavier. From the beginning, he puts more money down. He commits to a longer payment schedule. His monthly bill is much higher. And even worse, the car starts losing value the second he drives it away. If you stop the story there, leasing looks like the smarter move. Jake gets the benefit of driving the same car for less money each month. Marcus pays more, carries more risk, and watches the value of his purchase drop while he is still making payments. So naturally, Jake feels smart, and Marcus feels like he may have made an expensive mistake. This is the moment where most people make up their minds, not because they have compared the full cost, but because they have compared the immediate pain, and immediate pain always matters more emotionally. That is the real power of a lower monthly payment. It does not just change the math, it changes the feeling. A smaller payment feels safer. It feels more flexible. It feels like you still have room in your life. And when people are stressed, tired, or stretched thin, that feeling can be more persuasive than almost anything else. For the first 3 years, Jake's choice looks almost perfect. He drives a newer car. He stays inside the warranty window. He avoids the normal anxiety of repairs. His payment remains relatively manageable. And from the outside, it seems like he found a cleaner, more efficient way to have the exact same lifestyle. Meanwhile, Marcus is living through the least rewarding part of ownership. He is paying more every month. He is dealing with depreciation. For a while, he may even owe more than the car is worth, which means that on paper, the whole thing can feel like a bad deal. This is why buying often feels dumb. In the short term, you take on the pain immediately, and you do not feel the reward yet. Leasing reverses that experience. You enjoy the comfort immediately, and the real cost stays hidden for later. That is why the first 3 years can be so deceptive, because the early chapter makes one choice look elegant and the other look clumsy. But a car is not. A 3-year decision, unless you intentionally make it one. For most people, it is a long-term financial pattern. And once you look at it that way, the story changes. At month 36, Jake reaches the end of his lease. This is the point most lease advertisements never emotionally focus on, because this is where the smooth story becomes more complicated. Jake now has 3 choices. He can buy the car at its residual value. He can return the car, or he can start another lease. He chooses to lease again. And to be fair, that decision still makes sense. On the surface, he gets another newer car. He keeps his monthly cost relatively controlled. He avoids the more inconvenient phase of ownership. When a car gets older and starts needing more attention, he gets to stay inside the safer, cleaner world of temporary driving. But one important thing happens. The clock resets. Again, this matters more than it seems, because Marcus is also still making payments, around this time, but his payments are moving toward a fixed ending point. Jake's payments are moving toward another starting point. Marcus is walking through a tunnel. Jake is walking in a circle. That is the difference. It does not always feel dramatic in the middle, but over time, it becomes enormous. Every payment Marcus makes brings him closer to ownership. Every payment Jake makes brings him closer to another decision, another contract, another cycle. And once Marcus reaches the end of his loan, the entire financial picture shifts. His payment stops. That is the moment. Monthly payment thinking fails because monthly payment thinking only helps you compare the pressure while the bill exists. It does not help you imagine the day the bill disappears. Marcus eventually reaches that day. Jake usually does not. Marcus now has a paid-off car. It may not be exciting. It may not feel luxurious. It may have lost value. It may need maintenance, but it is his. And that changes everything. Because once the payment is gone, money begins behaving differently. The amount he used to send to the lender every month is now free. He can save it. He can invest it. He can use it to pay down debt somewhere else. He can simply enjoy the breathing room. And if he keeps the car for several more years, the financial advantage compounds quietly. That is one of the least glamorous, but most powerful financial moves ordinary people can make. Keeping a paid-off car longer than they emotionally want to. Jake never really gets that stage. He keeps paying. Maybe the payment is smaller than Marcus's old loan payment. Maybe it feels easier to live with. Maybe it keeps giving him newer cars and fewer headaches. But it never truly ends. That is the deeper danger of leasing normal cars for personal use. Not that it looks expensive, but that it can remain temporary forever. And temporary payments that never stop can quietly become more expensive than heavier payments that do. This is where the hidden costs begin to matter. Most people know the visible advantage of leasing, lower monthly payment. That is the headline, but the structure behind that headline has rules, mileage limits, wear and tier charges, possible disposition fees, less flexibility if you need to get out early, and the constant awareness that the car is not really yours. That last part sounds emotional, but it is also financial because ownership gives you options. You can keep the car longer. You can sell it. You can trade it. You can drive it payment-free. You can absorb its imperfections because the bill is no longer attached. A leased car keeps you inside a narrower box. You are paying for use, but under conditions. So yes, leasing may reduce uncertainty in some areas, but it also reduces freedom in others. Now, none of this means buying is painless. Buying has its own costs, and pretending otherwise would make the story weaker, not stronger. Once the warranty expires, Marcus will eventually face repairs. He will need tires. He will need brakes. He may have one expensive surprise. That makes ownership, I feel, frustrating. He cannot escape depreciation. And if he bought too much car, in the first place, ownership can become a burden instead of an asset. So the lesson is not that buying is magical. The lesson is that buying gives you a chance to reach the end. Leasing often gives you comfort without closure. And for a lot of people, that distinction determines the total cost more than they realize. Because the real financial game is not about which option feels lighter this year. It is about which option leaves you in a stronger position 5 years from now, 10 years from now, one full decade of driving habits later. That is where Marcus often wins. Not because he found a perfect deal, not because buying a car is some brilliant investment. Cars are not great investments. Most of them lose value, but a paid-off depreciating asset is often still better than a permanent stream of payments attached to something you never own. That is the uncomfortable truth underneath the entire comparison, and it becomes even more important when people start saying things like, but the lease payment is only, is a dangerous word in finance because only usually zooms in on the monthly number and hides the total structure. Only this much per month, only a little lower, only a small difference, only for now. But years are made of months, and if you make a decision based on what feels light in a single month, you can accidentally lock yourself into something heavy across many years. That is why so many people confuse affordability with value. A car may be affordable this month and still be a poor long-term decision. A higher payment may feel painful this month and still be the stronger long-term path. The monthly payment tells you how something feels. Now, it does not automatically tell you what it costs over the life of the decision. And that is the question most people fail to ask. What is the 5-year cost? What is the 10-year cost? What happens after the contract ends? Who owns something when all the payments are over? Who has flexibility? Who has an asset left? Who has to start over? That is the real comparison. Not lease versus buy in the abstract, but cycle versus ending, temporary comfort versus eventual ownership, relief now versus freedom later. And once you frame it that way, the answer becomes clearer for most ordinary drivers. If you are driving a normal car for personal use, buying and holding is usually the stronger long-term move. Not always, but usually, leasing can still make sense. In some cases, for certain business situations, the structure may be useful. For luxury vehicles with steep depreciation, leasing may reduce some risk. For people with very specific income strategies, the lower payment may fit into a larger plan. And for the rare person who truly invests, the monthly savings with discipline, leasing can sometimes work better than buying. But that last category is smaller than people think. Most people do not invest the difference. They spend the difference. Not recklessly, not dramatically, just gradually. The lower payment creates breathing room. That breathing room gets absorbed into life. And once it disappears into everyday spending, the argument for leasing becomes much weaker because then the savings were never really building anything. They were just making the present feel easier. And easier is not always better. Sometimes easier is just more temporary. That is the heart of this story. Jake did not make a foolish decision. Marcus did not make a perfect one. Jake chose the path that felt lighter now. Marcus chose the path that usually becomes lighter later. And that is the difference most people fail to see. When they stand in a dealership and stare at a monthly payment sheet, the wrong question is, which option is cheaper? This month? The better question is, which option leaves me better off when enough time has passed? Because time is where bad financial decisions reveal themselves. And time is also where disciplined, boring, unexciting decisions quietly start to look wise. So, if there is one lesson hiding underneath leasing versus buying, it is this: never judge a car decision by the monthly payment alone, because monthly payments are persuasive. They are emotional, they are immediate, they are easy to compare, and they can hide almost everything that actually matters. They can hide total cost. They can hide repeated cycles. They can hide lost ownership. They can hide the difference between paying for a while and paying forever. And once you see that clearly, the whole conversation changes. The car stops being about what feels comfortable in the dealership and starts becoming about what leaves you stronger years later. That is the real math. Not what you pay this month, but what your decision keeps costing you long after this month is gone.